She's got fringes! Hey guys, welcome to today's video. So today I have quite a bit of new makeup I want to share with you guys, and none of which is first impressions. And as I'm saying that, I'm looking down like, well, actually, there is something that is a first impression. But besides that, nothing else you guys will see as we go through today's video. Some of the things that we are going to be talking about: the new Soft Moisture Powder Foundation from Lauder. I also have the new eyeshadow palette from By Terry, as well as new eye and face brushes from Sonia G. I have a new lipstick product I want to share with you guys. I have a new eyebrow product I want to share with you guys. And I'm also going to be showing some of the products that I used in my last video, where I showed you guys the new holiday edition lay box from Westman Atelier. So I did pull out a few of those products so that we can test out with today's foundation. So if you guys are interested to see how all of these goodies perform and what my thoughts are on them, I do share little reviews as I use these products. Keep on watching. So since we're going to be working with a powder foundation, I have to remember to start with concealer first, because applying concealer over a powder foundation is never a good idea. So today I'm using this one from Dior. It is the Forever Skin Correct. I use the shade 3N, and it does a pretty good job at covering up my dark circles, so I really enjoy this one. By the way, I did already prime. I'm using my Sisley Blur Expert powder as a primer. I always just use that as a primer. I think it's so good at just evening out my skin texture a little, as well as filling in my pores. Now, don't expect it to perform a miracle, but I do notice a little bit of a difference with it, and I like that difference that I notice. I'm going to go ahead and leave it like this. I was going to go in and spot conceal. I do have a lot of blemishes, hyperpigmentation that I would love to go in and cover up. But let's first see how this foundation does with covering that up, because I might not need to go in and just do some extra concealing there. So we'll test this out first. If I do need some more coverage, then we can test out to see how liquid or creamy formulas perform over these powders. So this is the new foundation from Lauder. I have the refillable pans. So long story short, I had bought these through Selfridges months ago, like early summer, perhaps even late spring. So it's been a while that I've had these. The first one I picked up is the shade 13 Beach, which is way too light for me. So I ended up also ordering 23 Sandstone. This works pretty well for me. Might also be a little bit light, but once I'm done with all my makeup, I feel like I can get away with it. 13 we'll use today to set the under eyes, so I can show you guys if it does or does not add some more coverage. Now, the name of these is the Soft Moisture Powder Foundation with SPF of 30, so it's always good when foundations have that little extra SPF. It says here it is a buildable, skin enhancing coverage with a soft moisture touch texture. This formula is creamy, silken texture, captures the freshness of a liquid foundation in a light as air weightless powder. The result? A light-wearing, non-drying formula that melts onto skin to blur imperfections, soften lines, and even tone. Never miss a moment of flawless, healthy looking skin. So some pretty good claims here. One of the key ingredients is their miracle broth, which we all know Lauder is known for. I believe their liquid foundation, no, I'm pretty sure the liquid foundation does also have that miracle broth, which I personally have yet to try. It's been on my wish list, no lie, for years, and for one reason or another I just have not pulled the trigger to purchase it for myself, and it's been a holy grail favorite to many. So definitely, hopefully in the near future, I try out that liquid foundation. But for now, we're going in with the powder foundation. So since I have had this for a while, I actually even did a wear test. But because this foundation was not available yet here in the US, I decided to hold off on that video until it became available, which is now months and months later. I just found it on the Neiman Marcus website. I was having such a hard time saying that. And it's there. All the shades are there. Actually, okay, let me see. Online it has that they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 12 shades. So we're gonna work with the shades that I have today, see how it works. I was also telling you guys, I'm sorry, I'm kind of all over the place already. Jeez, I just started. When I first ordered mine, I had no idea I was ordering the refillable. I thought it was the whole shebang, but it turns out it wasn't. So this is not how they come unless you order them like this, but the actual packaging looks to be really pretty, very sleek, more on the simple side, but it's, you know, my type of style. So I think at some point I'm definitely gonna have to pick that up because I don't really like having these like this, but they still work. So if you want to save a little bit of money, you can always just get the refill pants like I did, or you can just buy the whole thing like I should have done. So yeah, it's finally available here in the US. I checked on the Illuminate website and I cannot seem to find it. When I first ordered mine, it was there, but it was saying coming soon, and it just kept saying coming soon. So now I feel like the video that I've filmed several months back is just too old for me to post and use. So today I'm just gonna use this and I'll let you guys know how I feel about this foundation. So I'm gonna go in with the darker of the two that I have. This is 23 Sandstone, and it also does come with this little sponge here, which I have used. You of course do get the most coverage if you use these. So I'm gonna use a brush anyway. And I am going to use today some new brushes. This set here is from Sonia G. It is called the Keyaki Brush Set. It comes with 5 brushes. We get 2 for the face, 3 for the eyes. So we'll be using these today. I have not used the brushes for the eyes, so that is going to be our first impressions. By the way, I have already washed these. Just know if you guys ever get new brushes in, you want to wash them before you use them so that you can get their full performance. I have used both of these, so I already have some thoughts on these, but for right now we're gonna go ahead and use this one. This one's called the Mini Base, and it says here it is the complexion brush that applies creams, liquids, and powders with flexibility, density, and airness. So I want to see how and if it is possible to apply my powder foundation with this little guy here. Let me point out as well, as you can see, these all have little handles, so definitely different from your typical like regular size brushes. This one has a thick handle there, so let me grab one of her other brushes. And as you can see, there's a significant difference in size. I personally am not somebody that likes mini anything. I just don't. Same thing with brushes. I'm usually just not driven to pick these type up. So I did go ahead and place them in a smaller little holder here so that hopefully that way, if I keep it on my vanity, I am more prone to use these. So like I said, I have tried out the Too Faced brushes, but I'm just not a fan of like the small handles. All right, so let's go in with number 23. I picked up quite a bit of product there, and I think it's best to kind of start stippling and then buffing, right? I think it's been a while. Okay, so that applied really easily. I am a huge fan of powder foundations. I know a lot of people aren't, especially those that do have drier skin, but I find that if given the right formula of a powder foundation, you can also enjoy it. I mean, I do have one cheek that is very, very dry, the other one's normal. My skin type is really odd. I'm combo and I'm like just all over the place. My T-zone gets really oily and my skin is also very sensitive. So I feel like I'm a little bit of everything. And as you guys can see, hopefully, I was able to apply the product with a lot of ease. Here where I do have more hyperpigmentation, as well as my chin here, you can see all of that still. You can also see the redness pulling through here on my chin a little bit, but it doesn't look bad. Overall, with the rest of my face, it did a pretty good job at evening out my complexion, besides those spots that I do have that do require more coverage. I did see that Fenty Beauty is coming out with a new powder foundation, and I'm so intrigued. I have not decided yet. I'm gonna go in and try to see if I can build this up. I haven't decided yet if I want to pick up that new Fenty one. You guys let me know, are you interested in seeing me review that one? Like, I want it because I'm pretty sure it's going to be really nice. I don't know, I just want it. I mean, like, I want it, but I have not 100% convinced myself to get it or not. So I'm still on the fence. Alright, so just applied a little bit more where I do need more coverage. At this point, I do wish I had gone into spot conceal, but again, I wanted to show you guys how this performed on its own in case you were curious. So I do believe you have control with how much coverage you'll end up getting with this foundation, but you won't quite get to the full coverage unless maybe you're using the sponge in here. So actually, why don't I use that? So I'm going to use this other end here. Actually, I think the smoother side is supposed to give you a lighter coverage. The other side that has, it's not, I wouldn't say it's rough, but I guess it has a little bit more texture on this side. This is supposed to give you the most coverage. So we'll use a little bit of this side. Well, so I'll use this side and just pick up a little bit here. So I'm actually really happy with the coverage that this has given me. It feels really, really nice on the skin. It does look a tad bit powdery, but that's not going to stay like that for very long. This is already something that I've experienced in the past, and I do want to share with you guys now before I forget to share later. This is a foundation that I have to keep up with. Like I said, I do have an oily T-zone, and my T-zone does get oily with this foundation. So that's why I don't find that this is one that necessarily dries out your skin. I've also used it while I'm treating acne, and usually when I treat my acne, I get a lot of dry patches, like little flaky, ugly, unattractive dry patches. And at first, again, kind of like how it's happening right now, it does look a little bit powdery. It does emphasize those dry patches just a tad bit, but after about an hour you don't see any of that, and it just sits so beautifully on the skin. So overall, I am a fan of this. Now I am going to try and see if I can spot conceal this area. Alright, so that actually wasn't bad at all. That performed really well. Let me go ahead and set my concealer. So I'm going to use the lighter shade I have. Again, this one's a 13. This is way too light for me to use as an actual foundation. So I'm just going to go in with my Airbrush brush from Wayne Goss and just pick up a little bit of this. Now it is a very finely milled type of foundation, powder foundation. So I do find that it's okay to use under the eyes, but you still don't want to get carried away with it. It can very quickly start looking cakey, so I don't want to add too much there. But you do see the difference, how this added a little bit of coverage, and it also brightened up since it is such a light shade. Alright, so moving on, I do have this new brow pencil that I've been using for the last few weeks. This is from Gucci. It is the, let's find the English portion here. It's the Powder Eyebrow Pencil. So one end you get the actual pencil, and then the other one is just your typical spoolie. The shade I have is number 4. I believe this was the darkest, if not second to the darkest. So I'm going to go ahead and just brush out my eyebrows with the spoolie side and then fill them in with the pencil side, of course. I don't do anything special with my eyebrows, which is why I usually just skip this step when I film my videos. With this, it took me a while to get used to it, but now I do find myself falling in love with this eyebrow pencil. At first, I felt like my brows were coming out too dark. I was just not using it properly. You literally have to go in there with a very, very light hand to just barely start applying subpigment. It is very soft, and because it is like that, I guess it's supposed to look like powder. Okay, I don't really know how like that technology works necessarily, but it says it's a like powder type of eyebrow pencil. So I don't know like how all that functions, but perhaps that's why they don't look as dark. But if you do go in with a light hand, it just automatically gives off some really, really good pigment. So for me, it was a little bit of an adjustment I had to make with it. And so at first I was not really enjoying that, but thankfully I kept giving it a chance over and over again. And so now I'm at the point where I'm really enjoying it. So let's go ahead and finish the face makeup. I Brought out two of the products that came in my lay box from Westman Atelier. I think it was my last video. I reviewed the holiday edition lay box from Westman Atelier. So it came with these two products as well as the super loaded tinted highlighter in the shade Rosé. That highlighter is nice, but I want to use the one in Lit instead. Okay, the highlighter is called Lit Up. The shade name is Nectar. And I'm also going to use the blush that came in that little box because the blush I am obsessed with. I think it's such a pretty shade. I want to give this highlighter though a better chance, and I want to see how, again, it performs with this powder foundation, how the two, if possible, work together. So I'm just going to go straight in and just kind of start tapping it. You can also pick it up with your finger, with a brush, any sponge, and then from there apply it, but we'll do this. And I'm going to go back in with the mini base brush because supposedly we can use this with liquids and creams as well. So I want to see how it does with that. Do you guys see anything? I feel like I just see like the tiniest little like glow there. Okay, I'm just picking some up directly from the stick with my brush. Okay, I think that's better. That looks good. And I don't see that this is disrupting my foundation at all. So it's always a good sign. I'm telling you guys, I really do think this is a reliable foundation. Actually, all of the products I'm going to talk about today, I've enjoyed, some more than others. We will get to that in a little bit. So I always like to do highlights, bronzer, and then blush. So for my bronzer today, I picked this one because I was like, what's another one that I just have the refillable product of? I don't have the actual case for this. This is from Trish McAvoy. I think this brand is so underrated. This is so beautiful. So we'll go in with this other little brush. This is the classic face brush. So you can use this for highlights, bronzer, blush, and all that jazz. All right, so I'll just go ahead and start applying this. This is nothing new. I've had this bronzer for a while. I've shown it on my channel, but it's been a long time. So we're using it again today. It's a little bit warm, but it's like the perfect amount of warmness for my taste. I don't find that it's orange at all. It's just so pretty. Oh, by the way, the name, this is just called the matte bronzer. So I guess they don't have multiple shades. I'm going to wipe off the previous brush that we used, again, the mini base, just on my towel here because I'm going to use this for my blush as well. So the blush is also from the Lay Box with Westman Atelier. This one's in the shade Mimi. Yes, and these are called the Baby Cheek Blushes. This shade here is such a beautiful, very wearable, goes with many makeup looks type of color, and blushes like this are just my absolute favorites. Start back here. Look at how pigmented that is. Isn't it such a pretty color? I think so. I think it's so pretty. So now onto the eyes. You guys know I always have to prime. I'm priming with my Fenty Beauty eyeshadow primer. This is the best there is out there, guys. Okay, from what I've tried. From what I've tried, it's the best. Whatever is left on this brush that I used to set my concealer, I'm just going to set this eye primer. For my eyeshadow today, we're going to be using the new eyeshadow palette from By Terry. She's released two of these before. These are the Terribly Paris eyeshadow palettes. I had never tried any of the eyeshadow palettes from By Terry until I got this one in. And this one just spoke to me. So something about the shades of this specific one that made me go ahead and give it a try. This is the number 3, the Paris Mon Amour eyeshadow palette. You get 10 eyeshadows in here, and there's a mixture of matte and metallics. Now, I did a poll on my Instagram account if you guys wanted to see just this incorporated in a get ready with me, or for me to just do a dedicated video on this doing multiple looks. Most of you guys that did vote wanted to see me use this and create multiple looks with it, which I did do. I did film that video. But I was having a lot of issues with my camera that day, so by the time I got it all sorted out, I only had about an hour to create 3 looks with this palette, which I was able to do, by the way, but I hated how that video came out, so that is not going to see the light of day ever. Getting rid of that. So today I'm just gonna go ahead and use it to create just one simple eye look for you guys. Overall, my thoughts on this palette, I think it is really pretty. I love the outside of it. I think it is super, super cute. The actual shadows in here, I love the tones. I think they're really pretty. Every look that I've created with this, because when I did do that video, it was not a first impressions. I had been testing this out for several days already, so I already had formulated an opinion on it. I had already tried out all of the eyeshadows. So that video was just to share all of that with you guys. So today I'm going to kind of give you a very condensed version of that and just let you know that overall, this is a pretty palette. If these eyeshadows speak to you, I think you will like it. But if you're somebody that has a huge collection of eyeshadow palettes or just eyeshadows in general, this is not going to be anything special in your collection. Perhaps, okay, maybe I should just talk about myself because I do have a lot of eyeshadows. This is just nothing special in my collection. I was dreading doing the 3 looks with it, but again, I did end up liking the looks. Today, I'm honestly dreading using this palette. I just have no interest in using it. It's so pretty. The eyeshadows, again, they perform really well. It's what one would want. I think the pigment on them is really nice. There are really no complaints except that now that I have it and now that I have used it several times, I just find it a little bit boring, just not exciting for me to just pull out and use. So we'll use it today. Hopefully I can, you know, justify how pretty this actually is with today's look. I do want to use my new eyeshadow brushes from Sonia G, so you know, I'm hoping this adds some excitement to me using this palette. But yeah, that's really all I have to say, you guys. I mean, it performs nicely. It does come with a little dual-ended brush as well. Let's see if we can use these brushes. I'm not sure how well this is going to be as a blending brush. This one here is the Jumbo Blender, and I don't even know what I want to start off with. Let's go in with this one right here. These don't have any names, so I'll just be pointing as we go. This one is described as a metallic finish, but it is one of the lighter type of metallic finishes where it looks more like a satin to me. It's not as metallic as some other shades in this palette. I do feel like the metallics in here are very different from each other. Some are thinner, some are more like a satin finish, almost like this one. And then others have like a chunky, like metallic type of finish. And those do have quite a bit of fallout, so you do want to be careful with that. So I'm just applying this here all over, actually above the crease. So now with the flat definer brush, I'm going to go into this cranberry shade. And I'm just going to apply this in the first, like 2/3 of the lid. Oh, this is super tiny. And now with the other side of the brush, I'm going to go into this shade here. This is going to go in the outer portion of the lid. To blend in the crease, I'm going to use this other brush. This is the Mini Booster, and we'll pick up this matte brown shade. What you see on the pan is what you'll pretty much get really with all of these shadows in this palette. So I do find that it performs how one would think it'll perform, with the exception of those, not really the exception in performance, but those like chunkier metallic shades are just a little bit messier to work with. Other than that though, they do perform really well. With my finger, I'm going to go into this metallic shade here, this kind of like light champagne shade. And this one's a little bit chunky, so I do like to use it more with my finger and just lightly pick some up and then lightly just pat it all over the lid just to add a little bit of sparkle. But I still want those other shades to pull through, so I don't want to apply too much at once because otherwise it can become opaque. Alone, this shade on the lid looks really, really pretty. So I think I just want to go in with this shade. Okay, I'm just running this against my bottom lash line. think instead I'm going to use the flat definer brush again with this color because that other brush is a little bit too soft, and so it's not giving me the opacity I want down here. Alright, so I wiped off the Jumbo Blender brush and I'm going to go into this matte shade up here just to clean the brow bone a little bit. So I'm just using the tip of this brush to pick up some of that product. And then just applying it here to the brow bone to do a little bit of cleaning up here and some brightening as well. Oops. This one's quite pigmented, so you definitely want to tap it off because otherwise it'll be too stark white there. Telling you from experience. So I'm going to go ahead and apply some mascara and eyeliner and we will be right back to finish this off. Alright, so now to finish off, I have a new lipstick from Dior. This is the Rouge Dior Absolute Matte Lipstick in the shade 951. So this is the packaging of it, and then inside we get the lipstick. I only wore this once and I did do like a little word test with it. This is the color. I love this shade so much and it looks so matte on the bullet, and they're right there, and there we have the swatch. So I'm not applying any lip liner or anything, we'll just go straight in with this lipstick. I think this one was described as a brick red. I love these kind of red shades. I think it is so beautiful. I'm not sure how well it goes with my eye look that I have going on, but the lipstick color is really nice, very creamy, glides right on. It is your traditional lipstick style of lip product, so it will transfer if you're drinking anything, if you're smooching with anyone. However, the actual color does end up staying on the lips for quite some time, so I do find that it is long wearing, but just know it is not transfer proof. Okay, I think I strained my bangs too much today. Like, I'm still getting used to having some, so they're like too long. I don't know. Alright, so we're officially done with all the new makeup I wanted to share with you guys today. I am very happy with everything. I love the foundation. I think it is gorgeous. It looks really good on the skin and it performs really well throughout the day. Like I mentioned, I do still need to touch up throughout the day, but that is always the case with my skin type, so I'm not going to deduct any points from the foundation because of that. Besides experiencing a little bit of oily, I don't experience anything negative with this foundation, so I enjoy it. I do recommend it. I think it is marvelous. Everything I use today will be linked in the description box below in case anybody's interested. I had already talked to you guys about these products from Westman Atelier in my last video, and I expressed how much I did enjoy them, and I continue to do so. What else? The eyebrow pencil, really nice. Really impressed with that, and I'm happy I am. I want to try out new eyebrow products. I have had a few people recommend some of their favorites, so I'm going to be picking those up at some point as well. The eyeshadow palette, I mean, to me, it's just not something that I see myself reaching for, but it is really pretty. Besides that, I don't have anything bad to say about it. The lipstick, I think, is really beautiful. Love it. And lastly, I do want to talk a little bit about the brushes. I think they perform well, but honestly, this is not something that I needed in my collection. I am a huge brush hoarder. I have so many brushes and I continue to buy them and continue to try them out because it is what I really love, what I really enjoy. The quality of these is nice. The handles are really beautiful. I want her to make some more brushes with these handles, but you know, like regular size brushes. I'm just not into these little guys at all. I'm 5'10", so I have pretty large hands, so for me this was just kind of odd to be using myself. Maybe, I don't know, maybe that's why I don't care for them all that much, but it's not to say that they performed bad or anything like that. They perform fine. They perform nicely. They're just not my favorite brushes from Sonia G. Maybe if I keep trying them out, maybe once I start getting used to their size a little bit more, things might change. Nothing of what I'm saying in today's video is set in stone, and nothing of what I say in any of my videos is ever set in stone because I like to continuously use my products and test them out in different ways, and sometimes I find that they actually perform or work better than how I originally thought, and sometimes I originally fall in love with a product and then upon further uses, I end up changing my mind and decided it's not as great of a product as I had initially thought. So that's just kind of how it is in the makeup world. But overall, I hope that I provided some good information for you guys in today's video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please make sure to give me a thumbs up. It really does help out my channel a lot. And while you're there, if you have not yet, do not forget to subscribe so you do not miss out on any of my future videos. Thank you guys so much for spending some time with me today. Until next time.